All right, hey everyone, my name is Ron, and today I've got Pete with me. So,
Hi.
Pete, tell me about your background in computing and what got you into the world of computer science.
I'm a retired Costco guy, but I started learning neurofeedback because I had a niece with Tourette syndrome. And so started learning neurofeedback, ended up opening a neurofeedback clinic. And of course, it's using computers and electrodes to figure out what's going on in someone's brain. And did that for about 5 years. Accomplished the goal, which was to cure my niece's Tourette's. But it's a topic that's still relevant today because typically you go into a psychiatrist and you say I'm depressed, and they say here's a drug that's going to mess with your neurotransmitters, and they have no idea what's going on in your brain. With neurofeedback, they're looking at what's going on in your brain using existing medical knowledge of what's normative, and then deciding what's wrong and deciding what to do.
So, in the neurofeedback thing, is it like the MRI machine or is it like a different type of setup?
No, it's like using electrodes and placing electrodes at places on the brain that are medically specified. So you've got F1, F2, FP1, FP2, and these are standard. If you're in a hospital and they're doing an EEG, they're standard placements.
Okay.
And so you look at the activity in every frequency range that your computer's fast enough to pick up, and determine what's going on in every area, every lobe, areas between lobes of the brain, and based on frequency ranges, how prevalent a given frequency range is. In other words, if a low frequency range is taking up 90% of the activity in a certain lobe, that's a problem. And so you go from what's normative, and if you do this quantitatively, meaning you take a whole EEG of a person's whole brain, and then you look at all these numbers on a spreadsheet, you can pretty much tell, hey, this person's depressed, this person has anxiety, this person's not connecting well with other people. There's a lot that you can tell just based on standard medical knowledge.
Nice. And so, when you look at the EEG scan, so is it like a graph or is it like waves or something,
So
or like a line?
it's a bunch of numbers. You can take those numbers and turn them into a picture.
Okay.
So you can turn them into a picture that looks like an fMRI or like an MRI would, where you're seeing all the colors and you're seeing brighter and darker colors to indicate higher and lower numbers. But really, all of those colors that you see on an fMRI, they're really indicative of numbers, right? There's a scale of, let's say, if we just said everything's a scale of 1 to 100, then you're going to have red if you're at 100, and you're going to have white if you're at 0, and all the colors simply represent the numbers in between. So I tended to prefer to look at the numbers, but other people like looking at it, like looking at the colors. It really depends upon, the actual provider and the way that they choose to operate.
Cool. And so recently we've been seeing the advance of AI and like tools like ChatGPT and Bing Chat. We saw that last year, and now we're seeing generative AI coming into like the WhatsApp and
Right.
Facebook. Like millions, if not billions, of people are going to be using AI on a daily basis. So when it comes to this thing in particular with the EEG and all that, so how do you think AI is going to help advance that, and what do you think changes are going to bring?
AI is amazing because because the way this used to work, I sit there, I look at what's going on, and I look at those numbers, and then I decide, oh, what do we need to do?
Yeah.
What sort of feedback do we need to provide to this person's brain to get it to change? Take me out of the picture, put AI there, look at every area of the brain at the same time, and AI can make decisions in real time and change protocols. So when I'm doing it, I'm just sitting the person down, and I'm giving them eight minutes of feedback on one frequency range in one area. AI can look at what's happening and change that protocol. In other words, if their brain starts to move the right direction, it can change the protocol in real time. It just absolutely will replace the
It's
person.
like magnitudes faster than
At the speed at which people would recover is just insanely higher. And in fact, the guy who I worked with when I ran my clinic, he had taken traditional neurofeedback. He had advanced it a bit by, rather than just telling the brain to go one direction, he just the feedback he was giving was just mirroring, just telling the brain what it was doing and letting it naturally move, which kind of prevented you from screwing the person up by making the wrong decision and telling their brain to go up when it needed to go down. So it's just allowing the brain's neuroplasticity to move itself. And he has in fact just evolved. He no longer has providers doing it. It is AI in fact doing it. And so yeah, it's already taken the industry that I was in and made it disappear. And so mirroring is now done all by AI rather than by individuals like me who used to do it.
Yeah, and I bet we're definitely going to see AI kind of revolutionize healthcare as a whole.
Yeah, I think psychiatry is a field that we just have tremendous potential because the lack of objectivity. If you went into a cardiologist's office and you said, "Hey, I'm feeling chest pain," and the cardiologist just said, "Okay, I'm going to give you this drug and come back and see me in 2 weeks," he'd go to prison. Right? So if kind of any other doctor operated the way a psychiatrist did, it's like, I'm going to give you this drug that's going to crush dopamine in your brain and raise serotonin. I have no idea what the levels are right now, but I'm going to give you a drug that's going to bring this one down and bring this one up. If any other doctor did that, literally, they would go to prison, you know. And so it's a really weird field. It's a field where we need objectivity, and so neurofeedback kind of provided that. It's being done now by fMRI and MRI, and they're using fMRI and MRI to provide feedback to cause change. And there is research going on there. Nothing terribly definitive yet, but it's particularly good at things like PTSD, where one side of the brain, one hemisphere, tends to have highly elevated activity, and there's no drug that will reduce activity in one side of the brain. And so you need something that's cognitive behavioral therapy can help a person, and you'll actually see that change in an fMRI or an MRI over time. But providing direct feedback, telling the brain what it's doing, does it a whole lot quicker.
Cool. Well, thank you, dude. That was a great conversation.
Thank you very much.
Learned a lot today, and thank you.